All right, I think that means we're live. Um, all right, welcome everyone, or no one as yet, to our latest experiment, which is the Hack for Privacy live Q&A with the core team. Tonight, I am joined by my fabulous team members. We've got have Russia, who's currently undergoing technical difficulties. We've got Pam and Cam, who are all heavily involved in all this privacy stuff, and keeping the wheels of Hack for Privacy rolling
We're
along.
missing a key member.
Yeah, we're down our other um, member. Most of you probably know Robin, either through his writing or through hanging out in the Slack channels or all over the place. Robin is currently taking a well-deserved break, um, so he sends his apologies. So this is kind of an experiment. We're running live again with a live stream, but we thought we'd try a question and answer type format and see if the community had burning questions, we could have a go at answering them, or just talk about the things that are on our minds at the moment. So this right now there are 0 viewers on the stream, but that's okay because I think this video will end up being saved somewhere. So we've got some questions lined up, and we'll go through those. And if anybody catches this video sometime in the future, hello to future people. But if you have any questions, we might do this again. Otherwise, come and hang out with us in our Slack channel. Awesome. So, first question, I reckon. Who wants to go first? The first question is going to be: how did you get involved in privacy stuff? Who would like to answer that first? And how did you get involved? And why is it something that you care about?
That off. So I've been kind of aware that we're giving up information, but not really willing to stop the cool features that the internet provides. And I know that I'm aware that I'm giving up my privacy, but it offers me so many good services that I didn't stop. So, but it all changed with some Australian law that changed. So the government a year ago, quite, introduced this law for retention, for metadata retention. So they're basically just going and they're making the internet service providers just capture all of our data from all of our communications and making these providers store that data in massive data centers, and they're using the money that we pay for this. And they say that they will help them with security, but it's like they're not actually many evidence out there that shows that this is actually a good pattern for going against terrorists and trying to find terrorists on the internet or whatever. They do have at the moment, without this law, they have mechanisms to target certain people that they find suspects. So what's the point in just acting and like just spy on the rest of the citizens? So this for me was the thing that really made me upset me. So I find this outrageous. So this is why I got involved. That would be it. That's what did it for me.
Awesome. Thanks, Pam. Russia, are your technical difficulties sorted yet? Apparently not. So maybe we'll move on to Cam and hope that Russia can solve those in the meantime. So Cam, why are you so passionate about privacy?
So for me, I mean, I remember when we had the Snowden revelations, and getting a lot more information about what governments are doing and how much everything's monitored. And at the time, I sort of thought, wow, that really sucks, and that's pretty creepy. But didn't really think any further about how
Sorry,
that affected.
guys.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little bit of echo.
Mm-hmm.
Is everyone else muted?
Should be.
Let me turn my speakers down a bit. Does that help at all? Is there any less echo now?
Yeah.
All right, I might just press on. So where was I? Yeah, so I didn't really think about how all that stuff really related to me. I didn't really think of it as affecting me very much, and then I sort of noticed myself over the years beginning to self-censor myself in terms of what I would type into Google, the sort of stuff that I would look up, just researching things about governments and the world, and just this constant feeling of everything I was doing was being logged somewhere and being tracked somewhere, and that really sort of started to creep me out. And I sort of had this feeling then that it was just me that was bothered by that. And then when it really sort of started to open up for me was talking to other people and finding out that a lot of other people had this feeling as well, that it was just not right, all the stuff that was going on, and the way that it was affecting people and getting people to change their behavior, even when they didn't actually feel like they were doing anything wrong. So that's what really got me talking to more people about it and thinking more about it. And then the discussions begin to turn to, well, what are we actually doing as technologists who are building a lot of this software which tracks people? How are we contributing to that culture? If that's the sort of thing that we say that we hate that goes on, but then we turn around and kind of do it anyway. So that's what really motivated me to think about what can we do and what can we not do to actually try to turn things around a little bit. So that's my story.
Awesome. Rush, have you had any luck? No. Okay. Nah. Still no sound. Bummer. Cool. Well, so I'll open this one up to the floor, and anyone can have a go at answering it. So we spend a lot of time talking about Pixelated and trying to get people to work in their spare time on Pixelated. What's so good about Pixelated? Why are you spending so much time working on it and trying to get other people to work on it?
I'll have a go at that one. So, Pixelated obviously has two of its biggest core sort of features are it's decentralized. So it's open source software. You can deploy your own thing, and so you're taking control of your data as much as you can. You don't have to worrying about where it is and who has access to it. And the other big feature being end-to-end encryption to maintain the privacy. So those are the two big winners really. The other thing about it that I think is really good is the way that it's got the two setups that you can use. So if you're part of a larger organization and you trust someone in your organization to manage things for you, then you can run it in such a way that it's a lot easier to get started and easier to manage and easier to use for the end users. Whereas if you want to go with what I've heard referred to as the activist setup, where you really want to make sure you own everything and you control everything and you've got all of your own keys and nobody else ever sees it, then you can do that as well. So for me, that's one of the big winners, is you can have that choice as to what level of control, what level of privacy you want to go for, and that's it's putting the trade-off there back into people's hands rather than having that choice made for them.
They all sound like pretty good reasons. Pam, do you have anything to add?
No, I think Cam captured that pretty well. One of the things that really like for me, one of the things that does it for me is that the fact that people don't actually have to think about it. It's there. It's just for them. The essence of Pixelated is that it's just an email account. That's it. The fact that the whole encryption happens under the hood, I think that's what good crypto tools should strive for, and that's why I'm putting so much effort into this.
Awesome, thank you. So Russia's just come back. Russia, do we have any luck yet? Oh no. This is always technical difficulties. Oh well. Cool. So this next question I'm really interested in hearing your thoughts about. One of the goals of Hack for Privacy originally was to try and get more technologists into the privacy debate, and to take up keyboards and megaphones in the privacy movement. That's a great goal, but what does that mean in practice? How do we see technologists actually taking on that role, and what are they going to do?
Okay, do you want to start?
I can say things, but so the reason I think technologists should take this role is that the folks who typically have these debates, they're usually politicians or folks who do a lot of policy, don't actually understand the technical details of all of this, and just do not have all the facts. There was a great, like my, most ridiculous statement of the last couple of weeks was either of ignorance or just not bothering to pay any attention. But the director of the was it CIA or CIA? Yes, CIA Director John Brennan said that in some sort of Senate hearing in the US, said we don't need to worry about mandating encryption backdoors. Like, that's not going to drive business away from the US, because no one outside the US does good encryption stuff that anybody's going to want to use. So that's just blatantly wrong, and there's a great response to that by Bruce Schneier, who usually has a great response to all these sorts of things, who had done a bunch of research earlier in the year, quite conveniently, saying how many crypto products are being done, all over the world, and more than, I think, 2/3 were done outside the US. These are commercial and open source encryption things. So technologists they know what's out there in this case, and should be the ones to sort of step up and say, actually, no, this is bullshit. Technologists also get, when politicians say, we need backdoors in all crypto products, it won't pose a risk to everyone. If there's no one there to challenge that and to challenge the technical foundations of those of that misinformation, then I think we're all going to be a bit screwed, actually, and this debate is going to go. The foundation of the debate is on really rocky ground. So I think that's why technologists need to play a bigger role. Maybe someone else would like to talk about why, what role technologists can have.
So I do have something similar to that with a different perspective. So one of the things that bother me is how little people seem to care about what they share online, or what corporations and governments use their private data for. But I reckon the problem is that we haven't been able to clearly communicate what the consequences are. So people don't know. So people, they think that just my data is just a little bit on this massive pool of data, so there's not much that they can do with it. So I think that as technologists, we understand the consequences and we understand what you can actually do and can't do with data. So if we understand that, we just need to find a good way to communicate to other people what others can do with it, and so just spread the word and bring awareness to the topic is something that we really need to contribute in, and I think it's a big role for us because understanding this is not easy. So the fact that we do it, or we kind of do it, we kind of understand it, it makes us in the right position to just make other people aware. That's it for me.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and one of the other things I would like to see as well is people who understand the technology or understand the issues really well, also getting a bit more attention in the media as well. Like when we see George Brandis on national TV, making a complete ass of himself, not even knowing what the hell metadata is and what he's even trying to legislate for. Like where was the other side of the debate? Where was someone who actually knows what they're talking about stepping in and saying, well, I'll explain to you what metadata is and I'll tell you what it is in simple terms. And then as Pam was sort of talking about, then people can actually be informed and the general public can actually have an informed opinion on this issue rather than just having to believe what they're told by people with an agenda.
Yeah, and then I think the ultimate goal is the ultimate goal is just having things that protect your privacy by default, and I think that's also a key role for us. So we develop code every day, and we make decisions about what to do and what not to do with other people's data. So we kind of need to be responsible for what we do in our day-to-day jobs as technologists. So if we start consciously making the decision to be ethically correct about the data and the use of data, I think that's going to play an important role, and that's going to be more transparent on privacy and this type of issues. That's one thing. The other thing is that crypto is not easy, and so having things that are usable, so tools that are usable for people that make adoption of these tools easier, which leads to better privacy. Yeah.
I'd like to ask a bit of a follow-up question, if I can, just on the issue of technologists having a say in the debate. I remember seeing an interview with Obama. I think it was around the time of the argument between Apple and the FBI over unlocking, cracking into an iPhone, and Obama was making the argument that if technologists and cryptologists and all those sorts of people want to have a say in the debate, then they can't afford to be taking what he argued was an extreme position. That if we say, look, we're not going to compromise on the issue of backdoors into cryptography and unbreakable encryption and that sort of thing, that's an extreme position, and then we lose credibility, and if we don't want to negotiate or compromise on those things, then we risk getting shut out of the debate altogether, and then we entirely lose having a say in it. What do people think about that?
I think it's a very it's a normal tactic in political debates to create a frame of the debate which says you're either this position is extreme, and if you're on the outside of this position, then we can't engage with you. But actually, our role as technologists, I think, in that debate is to refocus that debate in reality, as what we know as folks who work in technology, as folks who build the technology and understand it. There is no way to have a safe backdoor. Like, it just doesn't exist. It's smart people have been saying it for a really long time. It can't happen, and it's not. You can't just say, "Well, that's an extreme position," come, you'd better come and talk turkey with us. It's our job as folks who make the technology to take that supposedly extreme position to anchor the debate in reality rather than in politicians' fantasy, basically.
And I think that actually, I've noticed that since that day and since that debate, Apple has taken a stand and is actually bringing security and privacy to. It's given privacy and security a lot more of focus in their ads and campaigns. So I remember seeing a couple of tweets from their convention or their conference or whatever that is, saying a lot of ads of how Apple is not going to play with your data, Apple is not going to share your data. And so I think that finally, when the big players and the people that have that reach out to people start doing that type of ads, I think that that's when we come in and reinforce that and keep the topic up to date and keep the topic there, so we can have these debates and we can inform people and we can just show people that this is important, this is worth discussing and knowing.
Cool. I think that was a great topic. There's one there's one more question I think I'd like to ask, and it sort of leads in from that, what role technology should have in this movement. Just one more check-in with Russia. Any sound yet? Nah. Cool. Okay. So just to sort of start to wrap up, it's something we've talked about a few times in our group, and I think it's a big issue. If we think about doctors, and as part of doctors' training, they basically take an oath which says, first do no harm, and they've generally got fairly tight ethical guidelines about what they should and shouldn't do as part of their professional work, and they've got very clear repercussions if you step outside that. Our industry is seen as fairly rough and ready. There's not a whole lot of training going on. Speaking for myself, I've taught myself how to do this sort of stuff. Do we need some sort of code of ethics? Like, is that would that, if the folks working in the industry committed to not making our privacy situation worse, would that help us get out of this sort of quagmire we've started to find ourselves in?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Specifically now that we're going towards the whole artificial intelligence, and I think that's going to become key. Are robots going to destroy us at some point because we didn't care about this at the right point? Yeah. So the thing is that I think our industry is still quite young, and it grows and changes in a really fast pace. So we definitely need a code of ethics, but how do we get to that point? How do we define what's ethical and what not? There's a really gray area. Seeing it from a medical point of view, I think they still struggle. So it's like when a patient shows up and say, no, I can't get blood transfers because my religion doesn't. So my religion doesn't allow it. So that gray area, I think, is way wider in technology. So how do we get to that point? I do agree that we need it, but coming up with one of an ethical code that we can follow, I think is going to be really, really hard.
Yeah, that's that's really interesting. I mean, to continue with the comparison for medicine, it's all well and good to have a Hippocratic oath and to have a code of ethics and that sort of thing, but when it comes down to it, there's still there's always that pressure to make money. In places where healthcare is a business, which it is in so many places. The priority in commercial healthcare is always to make money, and so sacrifices are made, whether it's less nurses per patient or more surgeries done more quickly, that sort of thing. When money is there as that motivator, and of course in our industry, money is a huge thing. Where most of us working for companies that do want to make money, and that's a competing interest to privacy a lot of the time. So to me, I tend to think of it as a social problem. So whether or not we can get people to take an oath or sign something, I always feel that what's more powerful is that social contract between people. We talk to each other. We talk about whether we think things are okay, and we might not implement something or build something in a certain way because it's like, well, what would my friends think of me if I did this, and thinking about the values that we sort of have as a community, that's something that can really influence people's behavior. So I'm not sure if it's a formal code of ethics or whether it's just a topic that we need to talk about more amongst ourselves, because whether it's the robot revolution or something else, we increasingly have a lot of power in terms of the systems that we build and maintain, and so I think we do need to be really responsible with them.
But do you think that at some point we should drive like a boundary and say, no, we can't do that, no, it would be illegal to do this? Or because I think so you first start with a code of ethics and what is the right thing to do, which I guess changes from person to person, but then you grow, you bring this common sense and you make a code of ethics, and then I guess at some point there's got to be a kind of legislation that says, so this is clearly and bluntly wrong. What would be, so if we leave it only on the social context, it's still up to the not so good people to keep pushing that boundaries, and then when we get to that robot revolution, then we are all fried, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
So I've got a convenient answer for this, and it sort of leads us into the work that we're going to do tonight. The way we can keep that sort of moral compass and hold that high is by explicitly by working on tools and building stuff that is for the good of humanity rather than for the good of profit. Tools, particularly open tools, fit that bill nicely, and help people maintain their freedom online, which is definitely a great use of technology to protect, so that people can protect themselves. So I will say thanks everyone for viewing. Thank you to Cam, Pam, and Rasha for answering some questions. Hopefully next time we'll get we'll get some of Rasha's voice. But yeah, this is the working on tools like Pixelated is the way that we can reset the moral compass. So I think that's thanks everyone for your enthusiasm in working with us on that. So thanks to the team. Thanks for everyone who watched. Let us know if you've got more questions. It's been quite fun to blab about privacy stuff. Hopefully it was interesting, and we'll probably do it again sometime. So onto the Hack Night. Come and join us in Slack. Thanks everyone.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.